David Huete, correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Hi, I'm Preston Bigley. I'm from University of Texas at San Antonio. This is for Management 4923, a leadership class, an upper level management class. And I'm sitting here today with David Huete from Haven for Hope. And David, thank you so much for meeting with us today.
Sure.
And I just, first of all, wanted to say that at Haven for Hope, I know we were just kind of talking about this, but you guys have set an example of how nonprofits can really change the community and the surrounding areas. I know San Antonio has become one of the best places for homeless people, looking for change, and meaning that statistically, San Antonio has really been extraordinary when it comes to handling homelessness and transforming people that are homeless into, citizens that are living, good lives. So I first wanted to ask you about what was the initial motivation behind Haven for Hope, and how can other aspiring nonprofit leaders that have identified a problem or change initiate the groundwork for mobilizing change?
Sure. So the spark for Haven was about 11, 12 years ago. The chairman of our board, Mr. Bill Greehey, owner, head of New Star Energy, he had this spark. At night he was watching the local news with his wife, and the days before, his wife and him were praying on how do they want to give back to the community? How do they want to give back to the people in San Antonio? And there's this big expose that came on the news for the homeless in San Antonio, people sleeping on the streets, what a terrible issue was downtown. So he said, that's it. That's what I'm going to dive into. That's how I'm going to give back. So he worked with the city council at the time. He worked with Mayor Phil Hardberger at the time, a lot of the nonprofit leaders. He went outside of Texas to fundraise. He fundraised inside of Texas as well. And he was the one who brought together all the players to build this campus. This campus was $100 million to build, $20 million yearly budget. So he was instrumental in getting that political power together, getting the social power together, and getting that funding together to make sure that we could open our doors and stay open.
That's awesome. And to that point, we actually did a case study in our class, and we learned about I think it's an organization called El Sistema down in Venezuela, and it was a person who had a lot of connections in the community, and he used those connections to develop a kind of like a music therapy for kids that are living in poverty. So I love that, and I appreciate that insight. So Haven for Hope's mission is to offer a place to hope in beginnings. How important is leadership within the Haven for Hope organization to accomplish that mission?
I think leadership is everything. And leadership isn't just you have your one appointed person at the top and they're responsible for everything. Leadership's an attitude and ethos that everybody who works in an organization needs to adopt, where if you see an issue, you don't just bypass it, that you take it up as your cause and you help coordinate the team to address it. Leadership is very important especially this past year with COVID, with the snowstorm, staying on track, making sure that you're attending to your core job responsibilities. The mission of your organization, our mission was providing the literally on the street homeless with not only shelter, but a transformational environment. And even though we're going through the pandemic and going through the snowstorm, we kept our folks safe, and we still provide those services to get them off the street and help them get transformed and linked to housing.
I love that. We actually, as a group, we were wondering when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for the project, we were wondering how the snowstorm affected the homelessness here in San Antonio. So I love how leadership was
It was a rough week.
Yeah.
We all, about 60 of us came here and we slept here for a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we slept in our office floors or any meeting rooms and wherever we could find a space, just to make sure that we could stay open, because the clients had nowhere to go. Volunteers couldn't come in. The shift workers couldn't come in because they were stuck at home. So we need to make sure that people here had a safe place to stay.
Yes.
So that Sunday morning, we all got on the phone and we hightailed it to work, and we stayed till Friday.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm getting chills.
It was wild.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
I love that. To kind of just keep going on to the, I know earlier you mentioned that, at the beginning, gathering a network of partners was critical. So I wanted to say, how difficult was it to develop that network of partners that were committed to solving the problem of homelessness in San Antonio?
I wasn't here for the beginning, but I've heard the stories, and there was a little bit of carrot and stick, where the carrot is you align funding to incentivize people to be here, and the stick is saying if you don't come here and provide services, we're not going to fund you at the level we were. So really, when it comes down to incentivizing it, it is making sure that the larger funders like the city and the county, private organizations that provide a lot of funding in the community, that they align their funding and saying if we want our social services or homeless funding, it all needs to be co-located in one place. And the city did that for a large extent, and that's how we got a lot of our partners here.
Okay.
But how do you keep them here? That's the question. The question that is a lot of carrots, and it's not just financial incentives. Some partners need that financial incentive, whether it's they need more security, they need help with IT, they need help with other infrastructure needs. A lot of it's just relationship management, where to make the person feel valued, to align your strategy with their strategy, so you're not running a program on the other side of campus that's directly opposed to what we're trying to do.
Yes.
So it's just being on the same page, making sure the program, the organization and the staff there make sure they feel they're valued and listened to.
Okay.
And working towards that common goal.
Yes, sir. I love that. And, so far I'm just getting so much information as, an aspiring business leader, and not only for the purpose of the project, but this is just gold right here. So according to the National Center on Charitable Statistics, I did my research, approximately 30% of all nonprofits fail to exist after 10 years. Given that Haven for Hope has had such a long tenure of success, how has the organization sustained long-term engagement in the effort to drive innovation and change?
Well, I think you need to do that. You need to do something that no one else is doing, or at least a lot of people aren't doing. So you need to find your niche and stick to it. Second, you need to make sure that there's funding streams. You don't want to start a nonprofit with a one-year grant and have expectations to continue on after that. Whether it's government grants, whether it's city funding, whether it's private giving, or really it's a combination of all the kind of funding streams. You need to make sure that you have income coming in, not just this year, but the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. Okay. So you can have that stability.
Yes, sir.
It's really hard to attract talent if the talent, if the people you want to hire know that you don't have that really steady funding stream, because they don't want to hitch their wagon to a group that's going to be out of business in a year.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. So lastly, in our leadership class, the last part of being an effective leader is having your organization maintain discipline and focus, through challenging times, because even at a personal level that can be difficult. When you're going through challenging times, maintain discipline and focus on the mission and the goal of what you want to accomplish. So how does Haven for Hope, I know you mentioned the snowstorm and obviously COVID, how do you guys maintain that discipline and focus during rougher times, challenging times?
Well, first you have to prioritize what is the most pressing emergency, whether it's emergency or it's just ongoing strategy. And whatever you decide, you need to be able to communicate that policy quickly and effectively, and you need to be able to get the buy-in of everybody you want to follow you. You need to be able to communicate not only why they should be doing it, but why did you make that decision as a leader. Okay. So I find it very helpful to be able to, when I'm explaining new policies, to explain this is the set of challenges that I face. These are the decisions I had to make, and each decision had its own upside and downside. This is the decision we made using your feedback, and this is why I would like you to buy into it. So I think being an effective leader and staying on target, you have to be able to make those critical decisions that are time sensitive, and you have to be able to communicate them out comprehensively and quickly.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like always going back to the why.
It is.
Very important.
It is going back to the why and being able to have those conversations, being able to having a culture where you welcome those difficult conversations.
Yes.
It's usually at least once a day I have some staff members stop in and say, okay, hey, just walk me through why'd you make this decision, or this is what I'm worried about. And taking that time out to explain, okay, this is why the decision is made, this is how I think it's going to impact you, and this is what I would like you to do.
Yes.
We need you in this process as well.
Yes, I think, and just one more thing on this, as a basketball player growing up, I remember how important it was for culture. I love that you said that word is culture of the team. So when you do face those challenging times, you have something to fall back on, so that's amazing. And so lastly, because I know you're a busy man, so I don't want to keep you too long, but, and I'm going to read this question word for word. There are many young, energetic, and innovative leaders who have dreams of starting a nonprofit organization. What is the most important thing that someone in this category can do to turn their dreams into reality?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and I know you've hit on this a lot already, but
I really think it is, you can identify your niche and you can get the funding streams, but the most important thing is having that grit and having that drive to chase it down. Starting it up is one of the most difficult things, is finding people who believe in it as much as you do, setting that culture, setting those expectations, setting the internalized values, and communicating what your internalized values are to the rest of your team. That's how you write your policies, procedures, how you have your day-to-day operations. Everything needs to revolve around that, whatever that internalized culture and drive that you have.
yes,
So it's really, you have to put your stamp on that organization early, and you have to oversee almost every aspect of it. And one thing I love about our CEO, Kenny Wilson, is he is present here almost every day.
Wow.
He has his hand in almost every part of the business, inspecting it, making sure that it's operating efficiently and that it's operating with heart.
yes, I love that. And to that point, I remember I watched I like to watch motivational YouTube videos, and I don't know if it was Elon Musk or one of a successful leader, but he says he's in the trenches every day. Like, for example, if he sees a piece of trash on the ground, he'll pick it up. It's not, he won't that, because that's a part of his business. And so that sounds like your CEO is here with you
It's
guys.
setting that expectation of how we all should behave, because if you're my employee and you see me just bypass that piece of trash, and that's a perfect example, it's one we use here. If you see me just walk past a piece of trash, you're going to do that. But if you see me pick it up, you're going to get the unspoken order that this is what we do here.
Exactly.
Not because I'm telling you to, it's because it's the type of people we want to employ.
Wow. Man, I'm getting emotional, I'm getting chills. That's such valuable information, David. I really appreciate it. Do you mind, if anybody's watching this video, could they reach out to you if they have any questions or concerns?
Definitely. You can reach me at 210-220-2352 or my Haven email address, davidhuete@havenprobe.com. .org, sorry.
Well, that will do it for us today. Again, thank you, David, and this has been a blessing. So appreciate it, and have a good one.
Thanks.
Sir.